One thing I don't use often enough in my landscape photography is the square aspect ratio. So for today's shoot, that's all I'm going to be using. It's the middle of the day, it's windy, it's rainy, and to make things even more difficult for myself, I'm going to combine the square aspect ratio with an ND filter to try and create some timeless landscape photography. Well, it's going to be extremely challenging today because of that wind. So whenever you try and combine long exposure photography with a lot of wind, you end up with the camera shaking a lot and making anything that's not moving look soft and out of focus. And luckily, there's a couple of fixes for that. The first obvious one is to try and position your tripod out of the wind as much as possible. But there's a second trick which I'm going to show you today. Not sure whether to head down there onto that beach or continue round on this path. I think it's going to be way too exposed out here, which is not going to make it less enjoyable. So I think we'll scout along that way a bit more and then have a look.
Little did I know the wind and rain would be a constant companion no matter where I went today.
Looks like just behind me another bank of rain is about to hit, so try and find some shelter. It is absolutely ridiculous up there, exposed in the wind. So I've come down to this little gorge, I don't know what you'd call it, little rock canyon-y thing. I'm gonna go down there and see if we can get any photos. And I actually got hailed on up there. Now, of course, you can always just crop to a square crop when you're editing the photo in post-production, but actually switching the camera over to visualize that square crop as you're composing, here comes the rain again, as you're composing the image is a more intentional way of using the square aspect ratio. I'm going to show this first shot in just a second. So one of those tricks, obviously we're a little bit out of the wind here, but one of those extra tricks is to take your long exposure photo with your ND filter and then take your ND filter off and then take the exact same composition but at a much faster shutter speed. And then if you need to, when you're editing your photos, you can blend in the sharp, non-blurry, non-moving rocks and everything that you want sharp and just paint those back in from the short exposure photo and use the long exposure one to make all of the water or whatever go nice and soft. What an absolutely changeable weather day. Up there, there's some blue sky peeking out, hail 1 minute, sunshine the next. Just taking a breather down in these bushes before I head back out onto what's probably going to be another exposed area from this wind. So on the way down, on the way up, I just snapped a quick shot, which I'll put on screen now. I didn't have time for the ND filters. Too much rain, too much hail, too much wind. Let me know what you think.
The conditions made it very hard to film, but I managed to steal a quick shot in a few seconds where the rain stopped. Using different aspect ratios is one of the things I talk about in my 52 Laws of Landscape Photography book. Click the first link in the description, scan this QR code, or find it on Amazon.
Gale force winds, driving rain, and the only way to shoot is that way. So it's basically, I've been waiting for about 30 minutes now for the rain to stop, trying to shield myself from the photography or shield the camera from the rain. And it's just not stopping and the wind's getting worse. And I've got a quite nice composition, which I've took the first photo, which I wanted to use for the sharp rocks, but I think I might have to call it. This is ridiculous. Well, I definitely picked the wrong day to try this square aspect ratio challenge. Check out this video next. Hopefully you'll like it. Please subscribe for more landscape photography and maybe some more square aspect ratio photography. Bye.